ARK Edition's Deinotherium arrives this month. ARK Astraeos receives a giant amount of changes. And the server DDoS issue gets even more worse. You're right, kids, it's Raasclark and welcome to your regular ARK community news. Before we begin, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, share around, and let's get into it. So, Community Crunch 449 arrives to us, introducing the best kept secret, the Deinotherium. Here it is. We knew it was in the dev kit, we knew it was coming to ARK some point in the near future, and now we have an exact release date for it. March the 26th, mark it on your calendars, which is just around the corner, with the devs explaining this is remaining to be the largest mammoth in the game. By agitating one, you'll find yourself on the receiving end of a devastating charge, but will remain with their abilities to rally their allies with more powerful morale boosting calls. Which means it sounds like it's going to be very similar to the modded version you can get your hands on right now if you want to go and download that to check it out before we actually get this creature. And makes sense, I think the taming process is pretty intuitive, with us recently showcasing it in a ARK Editions video, needing to play a bit of red light, green light, waiting for it to perform 3 different actions before gently approaching it and allowing it to swig a jug of beer straight out of your hands. Rinse and repeat, and you've bagged yourself a new buffing creature for bosses. That's right, this thing can offer both attack and defense movement speeds depending on which gender you have. The male offering a 15% attack damage to any creatures around it, and the female offering a 5% defense to any allies around it, which apparently stacks with up to 3 females and seemingly is going to be what we're going to find in the main vanilla game when this drops, which means your bossing plans could be ever more powerful with these things in your pack. And it'll be a wonder to see how beneficial they are in compensation for the boss creatures you'd normally have fighting instead. Whether we do actually see some brand new abilities remains to be seen, though I very much doubt it. But as said before, it was the worst kept secret. Not only did we know this was in the dev kit, so we knew it was going to come at some point in time. With the latest Astraeos update, it appears that you could get saddles for the Deinotherium before this thing actually arrives in the game. Bit of preparation for you there. I think they're still in the game as far as we know, so at least you can prepare to tame these creatures by getting saddles for them from drops and Astraeos. Nice. And with that, there was a bunch of different patch fixes over the last few days, a few new additions such as weather effects for rain. There's now new lightning storms, which definitely cast a lovely thundering atmosphere as you travel through the dark. Ronionafa and Maguana saddles are able to be received in hard and legendary OSD loot. And the deep sea has been given a bit of an overhaul, with you able to find sea drops in up to 13 locations with 4 crates at the same time. Leoplorodons are now spawning as well to buff those drops, with even more metal, obsidian and crystal to find in the deep sea, so get those Dunkleos going to town, with more wyvern egg spawns in the wyvern nest area, and red sap trees now belong on the Therokis Island, which makes sense with it looking like a very burnt island and of course akin to Extinction. I always felt like we were going to see some form of red gems through the red sap trees, and there we do. They're here, they're there. Get your red gems on Astraeos. As well as the almighty ultimate reward cyan drops that reward you elements and kibble amongst some of the best possible loot in the game. Well, apparently they've been changed to a green colour now, and before you start going, hang on a minute, there's already green drops. Well, there's not green drops in Astraeos, they don't exist, so these are in replacement of those, but easily apparently distinguishable from the green drops that you normally know in ARK, though admittedly I've never seen one, and a lot of people out there haven't seen one, which makes me wonder, has the rarity of these increased just that little bit more? As well as a review on map temperature distribution, like we've seen with previous works from Nakatus, it's definitely a bit too hot or a bit too cold in some places, and Nakatus has dialed back on that. Maybe some pressures out there from the community, as well as an adjustment on the northern map border, because there were some drops actually spawning beyond that walled border, so I think that was changed in acknowledgement of that. Underwater fog visibility has been improved, a great thing to see. More of that, please allow us to see at least something in the water without the use of scuba goggles. A couple more caves have been opened up to allow PvE to build on them. and a bunch of different fixes to OSDs, including the ability for creatures to walk towards the OSD, the path that they choose. Apparently that's been improved, and a replacement of one of the easy OSD drop spawn points to be a legendary OSD spawn point instead, to improve the chances of those. But in doing so, accidentally implemented a new lightning deathworm that I guess the Cartus is working towards having an inclusion, but that wasn't working as correctly. I think it was dropped in by mistake, and that has now been taken out. If you ran into that, you might know what happened when you saw those deathworms. And apparently now element veins are working as intended. And I know there's a big one out there. I've seen a lot of people complaining on console especially that have been running into so many crashing issues, and hopefully that's been identified with this patch, that a lot of invalid actors that were apparently incorrectly increasing the memory footprint of the map have been eliminated. So fingers crossed. I know they've been pushing out quite a few patches recently to improve that performance for console. That might be the result of that. And touch words, are you still crashing? I'd love to know. Comment below. Or has it improved? There's a competition. Here's some artwork from Dali. Wonderful, lovely drawing. In fact, you know what? This is a step up from Dali. We've seen much worse work than this before in telling you protein is useful if you want to be big, bad, oxyball. Am I going with this one? If you're a master of in-game photography, an expert builder, or talented artist, you could win yourself an ARK the Animated Series cosmetic pack when that arrives, as well as maybe a fantastic tame, or all of those prizes plus your artwork being featured as the server banner of the ARK official Discord for 1 week. That is some risky play. Of course, some nice talented work's definitely going to be used there, I'm sure. Not going to be seeing any big PPs being featured as the main artwork there, are we now? And if you're one of those, you've got until Wednesday, March the 25th to post within the official ARK Discord. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. Make sure it's not NSFW, as Wildcard said themselves, with the winners being announced on Friday, March the 28th. I might have to get involved myself. I've been working on a bit of a God of War build. Watch this space. We got a new premium showcase this week once again. What delights await to us. Can't wait to see fortified wood structure skins. Always wanted a bit of wood in my life. Do you know what? It actually kind of looks nice. Look at the timber work there. Very quaint. Shamrock Shores freemium. If you wanted a bit of St. Patrick's Day celebrations event, there's an event out there that's catering it to you, and I might actually be doing a video on this very, very soon. Watch this space. Top of the morning to you. And Thrat Ancient Sands, a map we covered way early on. Had an exclusive look at this as it was being built in the moment, and really enjoyed the work that Architecture had been putting together for this one. Some really cool, interesting, creative ideas. Definitely worth a punt if you're interested yourself. And speaking of modded creatures, do you remember us talking about Paleo ARK and the Paleo Dinos, the wonderful, awesome modded models that we've been playing with recently, made by the team from Up From The Depths and the Paleo ARK team? And of course, the hope to see these integrated into ARK at some point in the future. Well, Depths made an announcement following that news video. I don't know whether I influenced that. Hopefully that wasn't the case. Maybe it was just a bit of a coincidence, but Depths did address that Paleo ARK will never ever become official content, and this is why. With a lot of his own money and donation funds being put into this project, the biggest reason being in these being added into the main base game, they've got to be allowed to be in the dev kit for public use, and Depths doesn't want that. A lot of hard work has been put into these wonderful creative models, and simply doesn't want those assets being put out there for anyone to abuse and use however way or form they wish. And I can completely respect that. Everybody's work is their work, and they're entitled to keep it in-house if they prefer to. Many mod authors out there are open enough to at least allow some asset use. We use them for our thumbnails for many of these videos, but I can completely understand if mod authors don't want their assets to be used. It's a lot of work that they put into these mods. Why on earth should they allow anyone else to use these too, right? I completely understand that. It's just a shame. Paleo ARK and the creature models for the Rex, the Giga, the Mosasaurus now in particular, we'll have a video on that very soon, are definitely the best unofficial TLC we've ever seen in ARK, which I'm just hoping at the very least it's going to inspire some TLC from the team. TLC has been long overdue now. We haven't seen any proper official TLC since 2020. That's 5 years ago. 5. And surely stuff like this needs to be considered by Studio Wildcard to go, hang on a minute, if people outside of the world, the modders in the scene, are doing this sort of work, why aren't we? Why aren't we creating these absolute beautiful, terrific uplifts, facelifts from creatures that are almost 10 years old? Come on. But something that does feel like 10 years old is DDoSing, as we discussed in our previous video. It is a prevalent situation in the world of ARK, has been an issue forever in the world of ARK, and we discussed it enough, but it seems that Wildcard needed to address how severe this truly is, with Dolly dropping a statement to cement how concerning this really is. Because they explain they're not dealing with script kiddies, as we explained in our video. It's way beyond that. These are the largest attacks in ARK's history, and frankly would be newsworthy information. And seemingly everyone involved is frustrated, and it's ridiculous that it's still ongoing by someone that seemingly has some real expensive resources in able to push some giant amount of information to continue holding the servers to hostage. Needing to be delicate in how much information they share, with the potential of being more vulnerable to more attacks, or even just provoking the attack to go further. It's a real uncomfortable, embarrassing, sticky situation to be in, because of course you guys out there are completely and aggressively angry about this, and so right you should be. But who do you point the finger at? I explained in that video before, there is really only one person to be pointing the finger at, and Wildcard needs to at least acknowledge that, but in doing so are going to cause even more damage and raise more notoriety to whoever's doing it, and that's exactly what they want, right? It's a lose-lose situation, but I do hear that Wildcard are actively working with even stronger enforcement teams to close down these consistent attacks that do seem to be being closed down quicker than they were before. But it's just insane. In 2025, how DDoSing is still seen to be a guilt-free reason in response to any reason why you're angry with a company. And I really hope whoever's doing it does get sent to prison. This is prison worthy. This is serious. And you can say ARK deserves it all you want, but it's not just ARK, it's every game out there. If this can be done to ARK, it can be done to anyone out there. A lot of these other games out there host the same servers. They're all vulnerable. There's always a entity, a route to it. This is FBI investigation worthy level stuff. And I just hope at one point in the future we can look back at the acronym DDoS and consider it remaining in the dust along with the likes of DVD or something like that, right? But hey, rejoice, beer guzzling elephant is just around the corner. I hear 3X is unofficial at the moment. Knock yourselves out with that. And don't forget, GDC is happening early next week, and apparently Studio Wildcard, Snail Games are going to be in attendance there, though there's not much expectation on what they're going to actually be doing. Apparently there might be some surprise announcement, but again, yeah, no, it's Snail Games. I'm not expecting too much, but I'll be keeping my ears close to the ground to definitely react or re-inform you about what goes on there. But let's keep those expectations pretty low. I'm not expecting too much. So until then, my name's Raasclark. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, peace out.